To keep yourself updated, subscribe to Indigolearn and click the bell icon and download our app OneFin to start learning on the go.
Now let us do an exercise. What we will do? We'll classify the goods based on those two very important differentiating factors that I had told you that they are very important. Which one are those? Being rivalrous or being excludable. What I will do? I will write in both rows and columns rivalrous and excludable. So the first intersection we will get what? Rivalrous and excludable. Goods which are rivalrous as well as excludable. Now these goods are called as pure private goods. Now let me explain what is pure private goods are. If you have paid for it and if you have them, none of the other people can come and use it. That means that they are what? Rivalrous. At the same time, those types of goods are such goods that if somebody has not paid, you can exclude them from using it. Correct? The goods which are rivalrous as well as excludable. Now let us talk about the intersection of rivalrous with non-excludable. Now, I'd like to take an example first and then I will tell you what it is. Okay? Imagine that you live in a village where in order to make fire, you need what? Firewood. Now firewood is easily available where? In the forest, or it is naturally available. Let us say that near to your village there is like half an acre of forest. Now all the people from your village would want what? Firewood. So morning what they will do? They will go to this forest and they will pick firewood and they will get it. Now you have to understand here that the product firewood is limited in supply, which means if one person collects firewood, another person will not be able to collect it. So here the nature of the good, that is firewood, has become rivalrous. What has happened here? If one person picks all the firewood, what happens? The other person will not be able to pick it. At the same time, whether it is possible for anyone to go and tell that Mr. X, Y and Z in this city, you cannot go to the forest and pick the firewood. Can anybody say that? Answer is no, which means they are what? Non-excludable. Although it is rivalrous, that one person's consumption will reduce another person's consumption, but you cannot exclude anybody from using it. That is why these products are named as common access resources. I hope you have understood what common access resources. They are what? Rivalrous yet non-excludable. Now we are learning about the intersection of non-rivalrous with excludable. Now let me give you an example first and then I will tell you. What do you mean by non-rivalrous? Which means one person's consumption will not deny the consumption of somebody else of the same product. Okay, that is non-rivalrous. What is excludable? It is possible to say that you cannot use this product if you do not pay for it. Right? So example for this product would be your gym or your fitness centers, or let us say your swimming pools. Now let me just take the example of swimming pool and I will explain to you further. Imagine in your city there is a swimming pool where there is entrance charge of 100 rupees, which means if you do not pay 100 rupees, you cannot enter the swimming pool, right? Now that gives it what kind of a feature? Excludable feature, correct? At the same time, the same swimming pool that you are jumping in, 50 other people are also jumping in, isn't it? Correct? Now that is called as what? Being non-rivalrous. These goods which are non-rival in nature, also excludable, are called as club goods. Now the same thing goes with fitness centers, same thing goes with gym. The same equipment that you are using in the gym, somebody else also will use. Yes or no? Correct? Now but if you are not paid for gym membership, can you enter the gym? Answer is no. So they are excludable yet non-rivalrous. Last intersection is of non-rivalrous and non-excludable. Now please understand, these are called as pure public goods. Now the best example for this is national defense, in the sense if there is a military for the country, correct, they are protecting the citizens of the country, and these goods are non-rival in nature and non-excludable, which means one person's feeling of security will not reduce another person's feeling of security. At the same time, you do not have to pay anything directly in order to get protection from Indian military. Yes or no? Correct? That is why they are called as pure public goods. What are they called as? Pure public goods. Now, there are 4 types of things that we learnt here, correct, in the intersection of only 2 differentiating factors. The first one was what? Pure private goods. The second one, common access resources. Third one, club goods, and fourth one is pure public goods. Now, the table wise classification is done. We did it on the basis of what? Rivalry and excludability and all that. Now, let us see the classifications in detail. There are some other classifications which are given in the textbook. Let us look at them one by one now. The first one is pure public goods. Now, pure public goods we just saw. What is it? They satisfy both non-rivalry as well as non-excludability differentiating factors. They satisfy both non-rivalrous and non-excludability nature of the goods. Now, it is said that in reality it is very difficult to find this kind of products. Sir, what are you saying? You just said that national defense, correct, law enforcement, these are all the products which are pure public goods. You just said that we have them, right? But please analyze a little further. Now see, if your national military is mostly deployed in the North India and North borders, tell me whether the southern borders are as protected as northern borders? Answer is no, correct? That means the consumption or the utility that the north people have, south people do not. Now this is a differentiating factor there. That is why they say pure public goods which satisfy both non-rivalrousness as well as non-excludability are very difficult to find in real life. Now that gives us to go into the next level, that is called as impure public goods. Now let us go ahead and learn what is impure public goods. We learnt about pure public goods and we saw that it is not possible in practical life. Now let us see whether impure public goods are possible. Now what do you mean by impure public goods? They have both the characteristics of private good as well as a public good, which means they have non-rivalrous nature as well as rivalry. They have non-excludability nature as well as excludability. Now let us learn a little bit further into it. These impure public goods, they are called as hybrid goods as well. Now they are called as hybrid goods because they possess the characteristics of both private goods as well as public goods. Now we know what public goods are, what private goods are. So we should understand hybrid means the mixture of both. Now we have to understand here that they are partially rivalrous, which means the benefit received by consuming these hybrid goods depend upon the number of users. Now let me explain that to you with the help of an example. Imagine that there is a Wi-Fi connection in a particular cafe. Now sometimes the cafe owners will give this Wi-Fi facility to the people who are coming into that cafe. But if the people who are coming in there are students, what are they going to do? Next day they are going to give the password of that Wi-Fi to every other friend of theirs. An entire half of your class will be near to that cafe using the Wi-Fi. Now what happens here? Although you are getting the benefit, if a person like me who goes to that cafe and starts using the internet, I will not get speed. It doesn't mean that it doesn't connect. The benefit you are going to get, that is for sure, but it is completely not eliminated, but the enjoyment is definitely reduced, correct? If people weren't connecting so much to that Wi-Fi, I would have received a faster internet. But now because lot of people are there is less speed in the internet and my benefit received, if not eliminated, is reduced to a very low extent. Now please understand that these hybrid goods are often excludable as well. Let me explain that to you. If in the same toll road example that I had given you, right, there is a highway and there is a toll booth and there is a bypass road. Now a lot of vehicles are coming only through bypass road just to save that 50 rupees or 100 rupees or whatever it is, correct? This entire village road is getting jammed every day, correct? Now that is a big problem for whom? The villagers. So all villagers come together and they request to the local government and they say that, see, we cannot bear this anymore, this free riding problem is too much. So what the government can do over there? For all the villagers who are having the vehicles, they can give something called as a pass. Now this is practically done in some of the places, okay, because there is too much of a free riding problem. What they give to the villagers who have vehicles, they give what? A pass. and there is some temporary pass system for any other vehicles which are coming into the houses of the people who are living in that village. Those things are different, but please understand there can be some kind of a mechanism which can be put in place to make sure that there is no free riding problem, which means often you can exclude people who have not paid for that particular road or who are not supposed to enjoy that road. So if you look at it very carefully, these impure public goods or hybrid goods, whatever we call, they are somewhere in between what? Private goods and public goods. Now these impure public goods are divided into two types. First type is club goods. Second one is variable use public goods. Now let us learn about each one of them a little bit in depth. Okay, club goods I have already explained it to you, but I did not tell you who originated this argument. The name of this economist was Buchanan. He came up and gave this concept of club goods. He said that club goods are usually non-rivalrous and excludable. We have already seen the definition and we have already seen the example as well of what? Swimming pool. If anybody doesn't pay to enter the swimming pool, then definitely he will be excluded. At the same time, the same swimming pool can be used by other people as well. Now club goods part we already know. Let us look at variable use public goods. Now what is variable use public goods? Let me tell you that the same goods which arguing as public goods, for example roads which are 4-lane highway which I was talking about, or the flyover which I was talking about, or the park which I was talking about. Sir, you said they are completely public goods, but wait, sometimes in order to control the congestion in the road, government charges some money that could be in the name of toll charges or could be in some other name. Also during weekends, if the parks are full, imagine that there is a park, lot of people come during the weekends, at that time definitely government will keep an entry fee. Why? Because if you don't keep it, nobody can enjoy anything, right? So what happens here? A little bit of excludability part is coming into the non-excludability nature of the public goods. At that time they will become what? Variable use public goods. Now there is a biggest difference between club goods and variable use public goods. Let me tell you that club goods are replicable, variable use public goods are non-replicable. How? A swimming pool, any other private person also can start a swimming pool, but if you talk about a flyover, whether any private person can build a flyover? Not possible, which means only government can build roads and flyovers here. At the same time, any private person can start a swimming pool or a fitness center or gym. Now that is the biggest difference between what? Club goods and variable use public goods. Now in the examination, if they ask you for a difference, the major marks will be for that difference, that these are replicable, these are not replicable. I hope that you are understanding the difference between the both. Now the next concept that we are going to learn is about quasi public goods. Now these quasi public goods are also known as near public goods. Now what are these? These goods have most of the characteristics of a private good, but some characteristic of a public good. Let me explain this in little bit more depth. See, for an individual who is consuming it, it is a private good, but externally it has the characteristics of public good. Now let me give you an example. Imagine that you take a vaccination against COVID-19. Now when you take a vaccination against COVID-19, definitely what are you doing? You are trying to protect yourself, correct? You are trying to protect yourself, saying that I do not want to get COVID-19 or coronavirus and I do not want to suffer from it. But indirectly you are protecting those people who would have got COVID-19 because of you. That is your surrounding, your family or your friends who you would meet. If at all you had not taken vaccination, you would have transmitted this disease to them, right? Now you are stopping yourself from doing that by what? By taking vaccination. These goods are called as what? Quasi public goods. Now we have to understand that if we just let it to the market, these goods which are quasi public goods will again be underproduced, and some of these goods are produced by private players, but most of it is given by the government. Now the reason for it, now before I go into the reason, let me give you another example. See polio vaccination. Now, it is possible for the government to charge everybody for polio vaccination. But tell me whether it is desirable to charge the public for polio vaccination? Answer is no. What happens? It will only cause more havoc and it will only cause more handicapped people, and because of that government only will end up paying a lot of subsidy and transfer payments later. So it is better that government will subsidize or government will give it free, the polio vaccination, because the private players are not going to produce this particular vaccination. So quasi public goods, usually what happens here, the government will provide it for free of cost, although it is possible for the government to exclude people or give the characteristic of excludability to these goods. It is not desirable to do so. The next categorization we have already seen, that is common access resources or common pool resources. Now please understand that these are also impure public goods which are rivalrous but non-excludable. What does that mean? Rivalrous means if one person consumes it, it will get over and another person cannot get it, right? Non-excludable means you cannot say anybody cannot use this, right? Anyone can come and use this without paying, correct? I had given you example of what? The people from city A going and picking the firewood, right? Now, please understand there are certain more things you have to know about this common access resources. These resources are usually available for free in the natural environment. Now, when something is available for free, what will people do? They will overutilize these products, correct? When they overutilize this product, there is depletion and for the future generation nothing will be left. Now let me take an example for this. Imagine that near city A there is a fishing lake and this lake has very clean water and lot of fish. Now nobody can stop people from going and fishing from this particular lake, and nobody can even stop people from going and polluting this lake or taking water out of it. Now if everybody without thinking twice goes there and tries to spoil this lake by fishing out of it and taking water away, polluting it, then the entire lake will get spoiled and nobody will be able to use it in the future. Now because of that only, this common access resources, it is also called as what? Tragedy of commons. What happens here? Because it is available for free, they are often overused by the people. And the next and the last kind of classification is global public goods. Now please understand, global public goods means which are available to all the people across the world. Now these things are enjoyed by whom? Everybody around the world, and usually the WHO has classified these global public goods in two different ways. One as an outcome, second as an intermediate goods. Now outcome, I can take an example of how smallpox has been eradicated. Now we know that the WHO had taken a lot of efforts in order to what? Eradicate the smallpox. That is an outcome which is a global good which everybody enjoys. Now today in none of the countries smallpox exists. Now that is thanks to whom? WHO. And intermediate goods are the goods which led to this particular outcome. For example, for eradicating smallpox, there were a lot of medicines which were supplied. Now those are the intermediate goods. Just like that today, the WHO has been trying to eradicate lot of other diseases which are eradicable, which means such as polio, correct? By giving vaccination, you can actually eradicate polio. So the outcome is eradication of polio, where the intermediate goods are the vaccination or the medicine which is used for it. At the same time, we have to see that World Bank has identified that 5 key areas need to be addressed and need to be made global public goods which will be enjoyed by everyone. The first one they say is the environmental commons. Now what is environmental commons? Climate change, for example. We know that in the future climate change and global warming are going to be a big problem for the entire world. So all the countries need to come together and work for it. That is what World Bank says. The second one they say about communicable diseases. Now we know there are a lot of communicable diseases such as TB, such as HIV and all that. Now World Bank says that we have to carefully eliminate these diseases as well. Next they say about international trade and international financial architecture. Now they say that international trade needs to be healthy between the countries, and in order to do that all the countries again have to come together and provide a global service or global good, we call it, that will be enjoyed by everybody. And also the last one that World Bank says is about global knowledge for development. They say if there is any underdeveloped country, they need to be told how to come up and how to develop themselves and become a proper country where they give standard of living to all the citizens in that country. Now one thing we have to observe here, that the things that World Bank says that we have to address, there is no proper structure to ensure that there will be efficient outcome, which means there is no such organization which works globally to make these things happen. So it becomes the responsibility of every country which is there in this world to make sure that these global goods are one day provided for all. Now these are known as what? Global public goods. And the global public goods, its effect is spread all over the world, irrespective of the boundary, irrespective of the region and the country that you are staying in.